Know that we're in a new month, so we are starting with a new topic, and we got a lot of things to explore for the new month. So I also want to use this opportunity to also welcome the new fresher students who just joined the freshers group. You're welcome to the fold. As you all know, this is still the GMIT online platform where you have access to everything fashion knowledge as you might have wanted to get is at your reach. So this one we want to look at halter neck dress. So for the halter neck dress, we'll still be working with our main bodice block, and from the main bodice block we'll be interpreting different styles as regards to the halter neck dress. Now, in simple words, what does a halter neck look like? Now, halter neck. Now, as the word implies, it's like you're actually working on a dress that has the neck area altered. So you have a choice to do different kinds of halter neck depending on your choice of design and the taste of the designer itself. But as you can see the board now, I have a drawing that shows the kind of halter neck I'm going to interpret using this bodice pattern here. I have this kind of halter neck whereby I alter the whole neck, leaving a strap that folds back to the back. And in our halter neck dress, we'll be working with halter neck that has a princess dart line. Don't forget that has an empire dart line. Now, for any dart you're doing that has a combination of the shoulder dart with the main waist dart is the princess dart. Joining this and this together forms a princess dart. But whereby you have to transfer this dart to the armhole, it becomes the empire dart. Now let's kickstart with what we have. Now the diagram on the board is not enough to do what I need to do, but I'm going to work in all possible ways to make sure that we have a very perfect glowing class. Now, I can go on now. The first thing you need to do is, we are trying to do an halter neck. That means we want to do away with everything that deals with the neck around this pattern. So once you are done drafting your basic pattern and you have interpreted everything you need to do, so now, most halter neck dresses usually comes with a V neckline, and that's the easier way for you to actually accentuate the neckline beauty once you are doing halter neck. So now let's kickstart with what we have on the board. Now the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you can interpret your neckline. So first of all, on your neck point, which is this point, on your MP point, you're going to go inward 1 cm, 1 cm or 1.5 cm. So go inward on the MP 1 to 1.5 cm. On your MP, go inward 1.5 cm. Now once you have done that, and sometimes you can also maintain the basic neck point. So because we are doing an empire dart halter neck dress, so what I need to do is for me to close this dart and transfer the dart to the armhole. And how do you do that? The first is for you to close this dart that we have here. For those that are just joining the class for the first time, I know you might not understand how to close the dart, but as time goes on, you have the perfect understanding of how to interpret your darts and transfer them from one position to the other. Now, once you have, our idea is to close these darts off from the shoulder line. So what do? You measure from your SP point. This is your shoulder point here on the front towards the underarm here. So once you get the circumference of that measurement, so I'll measure my here, what I have here. Now this is 21 cm. So what is half of 21 cm? Now the circumference of my armhole in front is 21 cm. So half of that 21 cm is 10.5 cm, which is this 10.5 cm. Now, once we get the midpoint of the armhole, then you connect it to point X. Now, note that the point X is the 2 cm below your bust line on the pattern drafting. So once you connect it to it, then you link a line from that midpoint of the armhole to the point X. And you have this. Do you see me now? I'm having this now, right? So now, once you have this now, all you need to do is to look for the midpoint between this point linking, the line linking from the armhole to the point X. So I'll measure what I have here. So from here to this point, I have 13.5 cm. So half of that 13.5 cm now is going to give me yeah, 6.5 cm. 6.7, yeah. Yeah. So this is my midpoint between the line that is linking from the armhole to the point X. So I need to look for the midpoint so that when I place my ruler, I can have a curved line that will link back to the dart line. Don't forget we are trying to do an empire dart. So if you place your ruler very well, it will give you a nice curve if you can work with it. But it's advisable that you always work with guidelines. Now I'm going to do 1 cm inward from that. I'm going to measure 1 cm this way. Now that's just to give me a guideline so that when I place my curve ruler on that point of the armhole touching here and point S, it can give me a well curved out empire shape. So now I've done this already. I've connected like this. That means this dart, as I've actually done this, is no longer existing on the pattern, because once you close it, it becomes non-existent. So it's now transferred here. So I'll have to link this dart coming from the armhole to the dart on the waist. Then I will square down this point. Note that this point is the measurement that you measure. You take the measurement from your center front to where the dart points. So once you do that, bring it downward to the full length of your dress. You see me? Then you use your ruler, not to curve part of the ruler, and link this up. So with this now, you have your empire dart. Now note that the empire dart is optional for the back. You can maintain the back pattern the way it is. But don't forget that before the end of this class, I'm going to show with my miniature pattern how to also achieve your own alternate dress with this shoulder dart closed out. Now in continuation, I assume that this my pattern there is no longer, this dart is no longer existing. So now I work on, so I said from MP, you go inward by 1 cm or 1.5 cm. Once you have done that, then determine how deep you want your V-neck line to look like on you. You can do a plunging V-neck and you can do a moderate one. Now for those of you that have done necklines, you understand that to achieve your V-neck line, you have an option to either work within your chest line or you can go below your chest line. It depends on your choice of or your taste. So now for me, from my neck depth, which is this is my neck depth here, I'm going to measure 18 cm for me, or if you're not measuring 18 cm, you can stop either on your chest line or on the bust line. But for me, I'm working with 18 cm. I want it deeper because I'm working with a dress, but you can still work with moderation. So I measure 17 cm downward. Then now with that 17 cm I have, with my 1 cm, 1.5 cm that I did here, then you connect with a curve ruler, linking back to your neck depth. This is what I have now. You can see me? Now, I've been able to create out my kind of V-neck line here. And with the V-neck line, I've been able to determine what you are seeing from this diagram on the board, it has a deep V neckline. But then it doesn't stop you from interpreting the kind of halter neck that you want. And at the same time, don't forget that you can still also maintain the NP when you are doing your halter neck. So if you are maintaining the NP, I'll have this as well. So now, you can use either of these two, measure 1 cm out, inward from NP, or you maintain your NP, then link it back to your neck depth. Then the next thing for us to now do is to determine the width of the halter neck strap. Now, since it's coming from the main bodies and lapping at the back, that shows that we are going to link up part of the neck at the back with that of the one in front, having the same width of the strap. So to do that, my strap can be whatever width I want it to be. It can be 5 cm, can be 6 cm, 7 cm. Whatever width of the strap you want is what you are going to create on the pattern. So how do you do that? From my NP, I'm going to take a measurement of 6 cm strap width. So I'm going to measure my 6 cm here. See? So the width of this strap here is 6 cm. The width here like this is 6 cm. Now, once you have gotten that, now you now need to now link that strap width to the underarm of the pattern. How do I mean? Now you understand that you are doing an halter neck that has a deep V. So it's going like this. Then you should know that you are actually altering or cutting off everything around the neckline and the armhole at the same time. And the best way for you to achieve your halter neck shape, looking at the diagram up on the board, is for you to link the strap width to the underarm. And most time, because all of this piece is exposed, you either stop on the underarm or you come down 1 cm below the underarm. It's very important. So I'm going to come down here 1 cm. On the other hand, then what do you now do now? You will place this one. Place your ruler to touch the width of your strap, then touching the underarm here. So this is what I have now. Now, because my diagram looks as if everything is too choked together, I'll still show you with the miniature. So I've gotten this now. So everything I have here is that all of this part is no longer existing. All I have is my strap space, which is this to this V-neck, then this one to the underarm. Now you should know that because it's backless. Once you alter from here, that means wherever the connection of your underarm from the strap width stops on the pattern, that is where the back point will start from. Let me come again. Once you have gotten your strap width, which I measure like 6 cm from my NP, and that's a bit of my strap for the halter neck dress, then you link a new line from that point coming towards your underarm. It can stop on the bust line or some few cm below the bust line. And I said, for you now to get the point of the back starts from where your strap points end on the underarm area. So now, since this one was 1 cm below the armhole, then I'll do the back to 1 cm. So now my back is going to start on this line. So I have this now. You can see I have this. So that shows that all of this part is like taking off. Now, one thing you should also understand is this. Not all alternate dresses actually have a straight back. Some of them are having this kind of shaped curved V at the back. And you can still like achieve the same thing here. So if you want this kind of shaped V, because now what I did here is this. It's just like having this now here. When I want something that looks deep like this, So what do I do? I come from this point where my continuation of the front link with the back. I can come down here like 6 cm or 7 cm per se. Let's say come down here 7 cm. Then from this 7 cm, then you will link. Hope you're watching me now. This 7 cm, then you link. Now, you can see that now I've been able to get the same V shape that we have on this diagram, also on my pattern. Everything is about understanding the steps to take to interpret your pattern to the style that you have in view. Now let's continue. Now there is something that happened on this strap, this 6 cm. We are supposed to do the same thing on this back pattern so that the extended part of this halter neck can lap to the back. And how do you do it? You need to also add up this part of the neck, because already all these parts are going off, and just like you're seeing, this is a bare, like an exposed back on this drawing. So what do? From here, you bring up, you measure the same 6 cm, same 6 cm from here at the back. I have my 6 cm. Then you do the same thing all through. 6 cm, 6 cm. Now, having done this 6 cm now, you link it up. Now, I'm just actually showing you this method as well, because the pattern at the back is not actually something I can move. On the board is not what I can move. So that's why I'm using this method. Now, once I place this one on this, it gives me the same thing as I would do. So now that you know that you are doing alternate that has a button, you know the back is lapping, now that's a button. So you must create a button and extend allowance for that button to rest on. So now for me, I'm going to you're going to measure 3 cm out here or 2 cm for your button stand for the collar. So I'm creating 3 cm on the center back. So this is your button allowance stand. And that is it about interpreting this pattern to achieve your alternate dress. Don't forget that the alternate dress can come in different shapes. You can decide to do extended dress, or you can decide to have a cut on the waistline, maybe from here, then do gathers, you can cut flare, you can do pleats, you can do whatever fullness you want from the half length downward. Now, with what I've done on the board, I want to use this pattern with me to also show you what I just did, because I can't fold the pattern label so it looks a bit far away. So now, can we go on with this? Now, I have my patterns, the front and the back. Now, let me do justice to the pattern now. Once I'm done with this, I will allow anybody to ask a question to ask a question. So the first thing I say you should do is to close your shoulder dart, which is this. So once you close the shoulder dart, you realize that the pattern would give one funny shape is needed, because we're trying to alter the normal process of the pattern. So when I said once you are done with folding this shoulder down, all you need to do now is to look for the midpoint between this mid-arm O and the point X. So from that point now, I can now link with my curve ruler So I can use my curve ruler now. Because I'm using miniature, it's looking funny, but never mind. So I'll trace this one to upward, Now I'm having the same representation with what I have on the board here. That on your dress length, just link it up. Then now create your V-neck line. So I'm creating my V-neck line from now I have this. I have the same thing I did on the board here. My V-neck shape, and I started mine from the MP. Then after that, then you cut out this, but it's not stopping whatever I want to do. So before I go on cutting this, I need to first create my scrap width, and that was the 6 cm I did here. So for the miniature, I'm going to do 3 cm because I did 6 on the adult size. So I'm going to do 3 cm. I'll do 3 cm. 3 cm from this point. It's my 3 cm. And I said once you get your strap width of the alternate, you link it to the underarm point. Or sometimes you link it to have some ease, like 1 cm or 1.5 cm below the underarm point. The underarm point is the hammer point on the side bust. So now I'll place my curve ruler from this spot. So I'll do this. So now this is what I have here now. So that shows that I've been able to come below the bust line or the underarm point. Now, and I said there is a link with the front underarm shaping with the back. Wherever your underarm shaping on the side bust of the front stops, that is where the back points start from. That's the standard because it's backless. So because I had my shaping here, you can see on the board. So that means this one now is going to be on this line straight forward. You can see like this. This is what I have. And I said not everybody likes that straight back of your alternate dress. Some want it V-shaped, just like that on the drawing. So if you want it V-shaped, so all you need to do is to know that on the center back you have to come downward more. Here I did 7 cm, so I can do 3.5 here. So what I have here is going to look like this now. I hope you're seeing me now. So this is what I have now. But before I go on cutting this, I need to link up the shoulder point of the back with the front so that I have my alternate shape pattern out. So what do I do now? All I need to do is bring the MP of the back pattern to touch the MP of the front. Now, as you can see from where you are now, you can see that I already have my MP of back, which is this point, touching the MP of the front. Then I have the same strap. I already indicated my strap width on the front pattern because that's the first place where it starts, because the front strap width will influence what goes on at the back. So now I did 3 cm, then I'll continue with my 3 cm on the back. So now what do you now do? You already have your strap width mapped out, which is 3 cm, which is this point, right? Then now you need to just, since your neckline is already in sync here, it's already linking together, I don't need to force the neckline anymore. Do you get it now? Because it's going to be like this. You get it now? So what you now need to do is do the same 3 cm all through. Make sure the 3 cm throughout the neck. Then you have something like this. But then before you cut this out, understand that because it's lapping at the back, there is a possibility that it might not relax so well. So on this spot where your 3 cm ends on the center back, you go inward for adult 1 cm. Why for this miniature I'm going to do 0.5. And you're going to see what I'm going to do now. See, I'm going to do 0.5 here. Then I'll link it back to my MP here. Can you see me now? Then once you have done this now, you've been able to get out your alternate shape. And I said we need to include the lapping or the button stand allowance for the collar at the back, since it is cut together outer neck. So what's I use 3 cm here, so I'm going to use 1.5 here because it's miniature. I'm working with a miniature pattern. Do you see now? So this is what you're going to have now. So now it's now time for me to now cut it out. I hope you're following me what I have on the board. Can I go ahead and cut? So now I want to cut out this now. First is for me to So now, I've been able to cut this out. Now I have this now for the front. Now you can see that I actually altered this one off from this spot. So now the next thing for me to do is now to cut this back part. And don't forget that you need to add the zipper allowance, so that by the time you bring down your altar neck, this is what you are going to have. Do you get it now? So I'm going to add my zipper allowance, but because of I'm just using this miniature tailors because it's not possible for me to move this diagram from the board to show you. And don't forget that you already have 2 methods to achieve your altar neck here now. With the one I did, the second illustration on with the miniature is different from the one I did this way. Now this one as well, I can as well cut out this one and place it on this same 6 cm width, and it will still give me the same thing I'm having here. But now this one is much more easier because we are working with the pattern at the same time to achieve your altar neck shape. Why this one, you are only working with the pattern separately, but yet you still link this one and be with this so that it can become one piece. And note, all altar neckline dresses are usually backless, and the back can be of any kind of shape or style as you want it. So I think at this point now, we've been able to justify the beauty of the altar neck that we are doing. Now I'm trying to cut out my neckline so that it looks the same thing what you have in mind. So you can see now, this is my center front fold. Now I can cut out this now. You know we said we are working with an empire dart. So an empire dart shows that there will be what? 3 panels in front, the one on the center front and the ones to the side. And if you don't want to work with empire dart, but don't forget that the one we are doing is empire dart line alternate dress. But the one on this diagram is not showing anything like that. So I'm expecting that you should do empire dart on yours. But I'll see it like this now. I think I should need to cut that because this pattern is not actually standing. So when you cut it out, it goes this way. So that is where we're going to call it today for the class on halter neck dress. So while we are actually looking at this, now we can now ask me questions as regarding the halter neck pattern that we just drafted together. Now this one is going to look this way. Then this one is a continuation. Do you get it now? So if you have any question, you can start sending them in, or you can ask me, as the lines will be open for questions now.